This is Adam Hankins with the Pulaski Star, and I'm here with Mike Honaker, Republican candidate for Sheriff of Pulaski County. Mike, tell us a little about yourself and about your background in law enforcement.
Well, I have been in a uniform pretty much since I was 18 years old when I joined the Marine Corps in 1984. And I served in the Marine Corps from 1984 to 1988 and actually began my law enforcement career while in the Marine Corps as a military police officer, having attended the Military Police Academy at Lackland Air Force Base, where the Marine Corps and the Air Force trained together. And then I went to Camp Pendleton, California, which is just above San Diego, and served there for several years. And my final year in the Marine Corps, I actually spent in the Republic of the Philippines following the Marcos coup, and was there from 1987 to 1988, and received my honorable discharge in 1988, and then became a Virginia State Trooper on April 16th of 1989, and just now coming to the end of my state police career with 28 and a half years as I approach the age of 52. And I'm looking forward to continuing to work in law enforcement because I've always just felt like many other vocations in our lives, that law enforcement is a calling. It's something God's called me to do and given me the energy and the passion to do. And so I'm looking forward to continuing to serve in law enforcement the rest of my life.
Mike, what makes you the best choice for Sheriff of Pulaski County?
Well, I tell everybody I talk to, I think we have great candidates for Sheriff of Pulaski County this year. I think it's fantastic in a democracy and a free society that our citizens get to walk into a voting booth and pick one of four people to serve as their next sheriff. But the reason I ran for sheriff is because I felt like I had the best qualifications, the most experience, and the biggest vision and the best plan for Pulaski County and its future. You know, having spent 29 years in the state police, I got to serve all over the Commonwealth of Virginia and to see almost everything you can imagine. Having been at the Pentagon on 9/11 and having served as an on-scene commander there for weeks after that national tragedy, to being at the Virginia Tech shooting, April 16th, 2007, being part of that, having even led my area of command, Pulaski and Giles County, through the death of one of our own troopers in the line of duty. And I think you begin to combine experience and education and qualifications. It's one thing to see it on paper, but it's another thing to see it in action. And during my almost 29-year career with the state police, I can honestly say that rising through the ranks from a brand new trooper fresh out of the Marine Corps to rising to the rank of area commander and having served in Loudoun County and in Lexington, here in Pulaski County, and even at one time as the special agent in charge of general investigations with the state police in the Richmond area, where I oversaw all criminal investigations for 21 counties and 4 cities. I just think that if we combine all of that law enforcement experience and education together, as well as what many people know I've went out and tried to do in the community, working with children and young people, our senior citizens and our veterans, I think when you combine all of the experience and the education, that's one thing. But then when you go put that into action and go in and truly try to make a community different, I think that's what makes a person most qualified to be the person that leads the sheriff's office. And I just feel like right now, at this crucial time in America and this crucial time in our community, I feel like I'm the person to do that.
Okay, Mike, what are some of your top priorities if you're elected to the office?
Well, I have a lot of priorities, and I've begun to roll out the plans that I have for this community as sheriff. Some of those things primarily deal with, well, I'll say it like this. We can have a lot of big, bold plans to make the community better and safer. And we can do that by working with children and young people and seniors and families and our veterans. But if we don't have the right team, and we don't have a sheriff's office that's motivated, that has good morale, that really wants to do this, then we really don't have a place to start. So among my top priorities on day one is to ensure that we can secure this 5% pay raise for all of the employees of the sheriff's office. Of course, that doesn't include the sheriff or the chief deputy. This is about taking care of the employees. It's about getting them that raise. It's about putting in place a structure that allows those people to move up in their careers, to have something to look forward to. And there should be two paths. There should be a path where they can pursue promotion to supervisory positions, but maybe you have that person that just loves working the road and loves being a deputy. But if that's what they love to do and want to do, then there's really nowhere for them to go. And so that's why I want to implement a senior deputy program and a master deputy program, where if you just love being a deputy and working out in the community and you like taking calls, then at 10 years you'll be promoted to senior deputy with a 10% pay raise. At 20 years you'll be promoted to master deputy with a 10% pay raise. And that way, those people that love to do that job still have something to look forward to in their career, and the ceiling for their opportunity rises as well as those that want to be promoted. I also want a very fair and equitable promotional system for all employees of the sheriff's office. When a promotion's available, we want to post that promotion. We want to allow everybody to apply, give everybody a fair opportunity to pursue that promotion, select the best, most qualified person, just like we're going to do for sheriff on November 7th. So we begin with making the sheriff's office just a better place to work, where people look forward to their work, where they enjoy their work. Then we can start adding on to that all the things we want to do in the community, which is establishing a child and family protection unit. We've got to do something more about domestic violence. We've got to do something more about neglected, abused, and endangered children than just respond, put a Band-Aid on a bullet hole, and walk away. And so with the Child and Family Protection Unit, we're going to bring together a lot of people so that after we have that domestic, we're going to follow up over the next few days and the next few weeks to make sure that family is stabilizing and they're working through their problems, whether it's through our volunteers in the ministry or social workers, all kinds of volunteers that are going to work together with that. We're going to aggressively attack this issue of child neglect, child abuse, and child endangerment. In the last 11 years that I've worked right here in this community, I've lost count of the number of times that we fed hungry children, that we have seen children living in the most horrible conditions you can imagine. And sometimes it's not the parents' fault. Sometimes it's just the result of poverty. But we've got to work with those people, and we got to make lives better for children and young people. We also have to obviously attack the drug problem we have in this community. We will never be able to incarcerate ourselves out of this problem. We will never be able to simply arrest enough people to stop this. Yes, we have to arrest and incarcerate people who deal in and traffic in drugs and narcotics. But the people that are struggling with addiction, we have to get them help. We can't just continue to put the same people in jail over and over and over, no more than we can do that with people who struggle with mental illness. So we've got to attack the drug problem, but we've got to understand we can't arrest our way out of it. We have to arrest the bad guys that deal in it and traffic in it, but we've got to come up with a way, and again, throughout our community working together to get help and to get relief for people who struggle with addiction. And then right at the top of my list of priorities, people would probably be surprised. They'd probably be shocked at how often in law enforcement we have to deal with situations of bullying in schools. Parents call us, we go to their home, we meet with them, we see the results of bullying, and sometimes it's not just bullying, sometimes it's assault and battery, sometimes it's malicious wounding. And we've had to go to the school over and over and say, gosh, we've got a problem here. And we have to work together to make sure, whether it's bringing in the best anti-bullying program in America, but it's got to involve law enforcement. Smaller children may not understand the negative ramifications and the long-term consequences of bullying. But as those children grow and get older, there's a point in there that law enforcement needs to become involved so that we can say, look, you know, this is not just picking on somebody anymore. Now this is a crime. You're committing an assault and battery. You're stalking. You're committing a malicious wounding. And again, it's not to say that we want to go arrest a bunch of children, but sometimes it takes a uniform to get a child's attention. And when they realize this is not just a teacher and a principal, but this is a principal and a guidance counselor and a teacher and a police officer sitting down together saying, this is going to stop. You know, studies show in America that it's somewhere between 1 in 4 and 1 in 5 children in America are bullied. And you think, how many children get up every morning scared to death to go to school, scared to death to even go to a ball game because they're afraid they're going to be picked on or bullied when they get there? And so we have to create an environment in which children feel safe all the time, and that we can do something about this problem with bullying. And you know, as we go down that list, another top priority is to get accreditation for the law enforcement agency that is the sheriff's office. I think most people, if you go to the doctor and you got a choice between a doctor who is accredited and recognized for their professionalism or one who says, I'm just a doctor, but I didn't get accredited, you're going to go to the accredited one. I think if you're going to deal with a real estate agent, you're going to deal with an attorney, whatever the case, you're going to go with the one who has met the standards of accreditation, because that means that you have met all the qualifications and all the expectations to be a professional. And so we need to do that. There's no reason in the year 2017 that a law enforcement agency is not accredited. It costs about $1,500, takes about 12 months to do it, but once you become accredited, it also insulates the agency from a lot of liability issues because it requires written policies and procedures and directives so that everybody has the same point of reference for what we can do and what we can't do. It also raises the standards of accountability in promotional processes. It makes sure that we cannot use a good old boy system to promote people. It makes sure that we have to have a fair and equitable promotional system that involves all employees having that opportunity. It raises the standards and holds an agency accountable for how they handle evidence, whether that be drugs and narcotics, firearms, other controlled substances. It's just a fantastic process. It includes having a fair and equitable system for citizens to make complaints if they feel like they're mistreated or treated unfairly. But also part of that is it also makes sure you have a system in place to receive commendations, where that you award and acknowledge those employees that go out and go above and beyond the call of duty. And so there is no downside to accreditation. So some of the things I'll be talking about are a lot of more things like that. But I will say this, somebody asked me one day if I knew that accreditation also involved allowing the sheriff to receive a higher salary. Well, that may be true. And one of the reasons I want to pursue it, though, is I'm the one candidate out of 4 candidates who has already said, I will make this pay raise for those employees happen, because those men and women go out and risk their lives every single day, and they put their lives on the line for this community. So whatever benefit we receive from accreditation will not come to me. It's going to go to the employees. It's one of the ways that I'm going to squeeze that 5% salary out of the existing budget. So I'm going to do it through accreditation, and I'm also going to do it through being the one candidate in the sheriff's race that will not accept a county vehicle. I have a vehicle. I live about 2 miles from the sheriff's office. The sheriff is generally not out here running people down at 100 miles an hour, usually not responding to calls. So if I can cut that $7,000 or $8,000 out of the budget to make this pay raise happen, then I'm not going to accept a vehicle from the county, because this raise for these employees is so important to me. I can drive my own vehicle back and forth to work. So whether it's through what we are able to get from accreditation, as well as me cutting things out of the budget like my own police vehicle that I don't need, I can put a blue light in my personal vehicle And if I need to get somewhere, I will get there. But generally, sheriffs are not out here responding to calls and driving over the speed limit like the deputies sometimes have to do in emergencies. So people might doubt that I'm able to find this pay raise in this existing budget. But already, I'm telling you, I'm figuring it out, and we're going to make it happen. There's a lot of other things we'll be talking about, we'll be rolling out in the campaign that I just think are great ideas. But the last thing I would want to mention is this. There are two kinds of citizens that want to talk to the sheriff. There is the kind of citizen that wants to talk to you privately because they don't want their name involved, and my door is always going to be open to talk to that citizen one-on-one privately without their trust ever being betrayed, without their name ever being mentioned to anyone, not even my second in command or anybody else. But at the same time, at least on a quarterly basis, we're going to have pre-advertised, pre-scheduled citizen meetings and open forums where citizens can come in together and we can talk about where we're being successful, where we could do things better, what type of suggestions they would like to make, whatever concerns they may like to have. So we're going to have both. We're going to have the open citizen forums and the meetings with me as the sheriff to solve problems and to come up with solutions. But we're always going to understand that some people can't get up at a meeting in front of hundreds of people and share what they know about drugs and children that are endangered. So we're going to have both of those. And that's really important. And then I just keep going back to, somebody once said, it's easier to invest in a child than to fix a broken adult. And there's just so much of my program and my vision and my passion and what I'm going to make part of our core mission at the Sheriff's Office is to work with children and young people the way we have been for 10 years. And so we're going to have a junior law cadet program. We're going to have sports camps in the summertime. We're going to bring in athletes that want to do these kind of things. We're going to have open house events at the Sheriff's Office. We're going to constantly surround ourselves with children and young people that we can impact early. It's easier to keep a kid off of drugs than to try and get them off of drugs later after they're an adult. So that's kind of a snapshot of what we plan on doing. And I'm going to use all of that experience and that education and everything I've learned from seeing it done around the Commonwealth of Virginia from some of the best and greatest sheriffs I've ever known. And the pattern they have established, but we're going to make it fit for Pulaski County.
All right, Mike, thank you very much for your time today, and best of luck in the election.
Thank you.